no, traffic, it is just a way of life. A core responsibility of the Georgia Department of Public Safety and its sub-agency, the Georgia State Patrol, is to keep those roadways safe. But some have begun to question whether some of their own enforcement efforts are worth the risk. In 2022, a Georgia State Patrol trooper spots a Jeep on I-85 near Cleveland Avenue, allegedly speeding. When the Jeep doesn't pull over, the trooper chases. Minutes later, dashcam video 11 Alive News Investigates obtained shows another GSP trooper ends the pursuit. The trooper used what's known as a pit maneuver, deliberately bumping the fleeing vehicle in an attempt to stop it. Shakina Clotter's son, Amarian, was inside the... Amarian died in the crash. So did the other man in the car with him, according to GSP's case file.
This is a domino effect. None of those...
Hey, man. This your boy Butler, man. Damn. So I hope they don't stop the, damn, man. Damn. I don't even know what to say, bro. I do know that sometimes I thought that in certain places, bro, they're not supposed to proceed with the high-speed chase, that they supposed to just stop, like, and not do it unnecessarily, bro. It's like people, man, I'm going to hear the story first, but I think that, I hate to see people lose their lives over remedial things, bro, things that can be avoided. I'm not saying my man was right for speeding or whatnot, but what else would, like, what, bro, man, the pit maneuver, you done killed this man, and then you just got the ability to...
These boys didn't have to lose their life.
Clotter is now suing the Department of Public Safety, alleging the agency negligently violated its own internal policies on pursuits and the use of force.
I don't feel like it was fair.
The Department of Public Safety declined to answer questions on camera, but in a legal filing, defended the troopers' conduct, writing that they committed no negligent or otherwise tortious act or omission.
Now that case is still working its way through the Fulton County court system.
Was it a stolen car, bro? Was it in pursuit, like, of somebody? Was it a robbery that took place, a murder or something? Like, what's going on?
But our analysis of GSP data shows that dangerous crashes are not uncommon outcomes to their chases.
A 2023 report from the Police Executive Research Forum, a law enforcement think tank, recommended pursuits only take place when a violent crime has been committed and the suspect poses an imminent threat to commit another violent crime. But Department of Public Safety pursuit policy gives troopers much broader authority to chase. Internal reports 11 Alive News Investigates obtained show from 2019 to 2023, Department of Public Safety personnel, almost always GSP troopers, engaged in 6,823 chases. More than half involved crashes. 1,326 people were injured. 73 died. In response to previous 11 Alive News Investigates reporting on agency chase policy, a spokesperson sent a statement saying, in part, the Department of Public Safety protects Georgians by ensuring our members use good judgment and act within the bounds of policy and law. Amarian Clotter's mother has a different message.
I understand that the pit maneuver can be important in certain areas, in certain cases. Maybe if there's a bolo about someone that's being kidnapped or a terrorist or Amber Alert, something like that, but not just for a speed check. There was other ways that this could have been solved. I don't have my son anymore.
Man, rest in peace.
You can, I guess, understand her perspective as someone who's lost someone, and I was surprised by just the number of people who've been injured.
Yeah, it is a big number, and it stems from what some people would probably say is a big number, too, of chases. It's nearly 7,000 chases over this roughly 5-year span. We should point out, too, a number of those people who were injured were actually bystanders. They were not involved in the chase at all, and that actually tees us up really well here. That piece you just saw was actually our second report on this topic. Back in December, we aired our first investigation into Georgia State Patrol and Georgia Department of Public Safety's pursuit policy, and that story focused more on the macro lens approach and really getting a wide lens look at what is going on. So let's take a look.
Georgia State Patrol chased suspects again and again and again.
Get on the ground! Get on the ground! Get on the ground!
Thousands of times in all, sometimes with deadly results.
And I got multiple people ejected. 3 critical. I've got an infant that's not breathing.
GSP documents, dashcam footage, and internal reports obtained by 11 Alive News Investigates reveal from 2019 to 2023, Georgia Department of Public Safety personnel, almost always troopers, were involved in nearly 7,000 chases. More than 1,300 people, including 245 bystanders, were injured in the pursuits. 73 people, including 15 bystanders, died. Chris Harvey is the deputy director at Georgia Post, the organization that accredits law enforcement officers state chases. More than 1,300
people injured. 7,000 chases. Bro?
People, including 245 bystanders.
I'm sorry, I ain't done with this shit.
Bystanders were injured in the pursuits. 73 people, including 15 bystanders, died. Chris Harvey is the deputy director at Georgia Post, the organization that accredits law enforcement officers statewide. He cautions against a one-size-fits-all approach, but says different agencies have different policies governing how and when they'll chase.
You're talking about making split-second decisions that have legal ramifications, have constitutional ramifications, have life and death ramifications, have huge financial ramifications.
Georgia State Patrol's policy requires troopers' actions to be objectively reasonable, but also gives them broad discretion to decide whether and how to pursue a fleeing driver.
Just inside this gate is Georgia State Patrol headquarters. Over the course of months, we repeatedly asked to talk on camera with agency leaders about their chase policy and its outcomes.
Damn folks ain't talking to nobody, man. Georgia Department, bro. Georgia State Patrol. My bad.
Agency repeatedly said no.
Instead, the agency sent us a lengthy statement in which it argued its troopers have in-depth training and acquired skills that allow them to determine and effect safe pursuits. Troopers do not initiate pursuits. They initiate traffic stops, the statement added. A driver initiates a pursuit by failing to comply and fleeing.
There's some who will argue that it is law enforcement's job to enforce the law, full stop. So when somebody flees from a traffic stop, they are violating the law, and it's the duty of that law enforcement officer to pursue, and to pursue until that pursuit is terminated. What do you say to those folks?
That's stupid. What I'm saying is, if I understand you gotta stop people from breaking the law, but if there is no heavy felony that's been committed, they're not leaving the scene of a violent crime, bro. Man, let them folks go. Let them folks go, bro. Because innocent people you could potentially have a misdemeanor situation and 3 adults and a baby lose their life. Man, come on, man. Make that make sense, bro. Make that make sense. That don't make no sense, bro. It's not even logical, man. Let me tell you something. People policing and having charge of other people's lives, bro. Boy, that's crazy. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Call BS.
Thaddeus Johnson served as a police officer in Memphis before becoming a professor at Georgia State University studying criminal justice. He argues law enforcement should typically only pursue in situations where a violent crime or imminent threat to the public is suspected.
So as far as I'm concerned, the risks outweigh the benefits. We have camera networks all over the city. We have license plate readers all over. Once you know the identity of this person, turn this over to the investigators.
Come on, bro.
GSP often does that.
Listen, man. I don't care where you go in the state of Georgia. I don't know about other places, but right here, bro, as soon as you go outside, I got 4 cameras in front of my house. Bro, you is on camera everywhere. They'll take a picture of you. Man, let them folk go catch them people later on. Bro, you endangering everybody else with going and pursuing or initiating a high-speed chase. I'm not saying that the people that don't stop is in the right. That's not what I'm saying. But they clearly not smart enough to make these decisions. Y'all supposed to be the think tank and the authoritative figure, but you going to chase this person. This person not going to stop. Somebody going to end up getting killed and injured, and here you have innocent people losing their lives that don't have nothing to do with it, and it can be avoided. You already have these elements set up in place for the alleged criminal to be caught. Man, utilize that, bro. What you doing?
Off chases hundreds of times in recent years out of a concern for public safety, its annual reports reveal. But in thousands of other cases, it saw the pursuit all the way to its end, sometimes with fatal results.
Oh, God.
And when you listen to that, you really do hear both perspectives, even from that former police officer. You can kind of understand what he's saying, but you also understand what police may say. So it really is a case-by-case basis.
Yeah, you're really putting your finger on the tension that exists when we're reporting on this kind of story. As you heard in that story, the Georgia State Patrol and the Georgia Department of Public Safety, they repeatedly declined to talk on camera about this themselves, but in a written statement, they defended their troopers, their officers' conduct. But there is this tension happening, and I know from firsthand experience there are law enforcement leaders who will say, look, it's our sworn duty to enforce the law. Fleeing is against the law in Georgia, and so it's our officers, our sheriff's deputies, whatever it might be, it's their job to chase. They've got to go enforce that law. There are other agencies, of course, that have much more restrictive policies. One man you saw in that story there, Chris Harvey, at the time he was the second in command at Georgia Peace Officer Standards and Training Council. That is a statewide agency that's responsible for accrediting law enforcement officers all across the state. Since we last spoke with him, he's actually been promoted. He now leads the agency, but he is an expert in all things law enforcement policy. And in the story you heard from him a little bit, but I think you're getting to this tension, this challenge, and Chris Harvey in our conversation really got into that too, and particularly from the ground level for law enforcement officers on the street trying to make a decision in real time. It can be a real challenge. Chris Harvey gets to that. Let's take a listen.
You know, you're talking about making split-second decisions that have legal ramifications, have constitutional ramifications, have life and death ramifications, have huge financial ramifications, have career-ending ramifications that have to be made in 15 to 20 seconds over and over and over again in the course of a lot of their encounters. And so when it comes to a vehicle pursuit, it's just going through that decision cycle and that discretion cycle again. And I don't know of any agency that has a policy that says you must pursue under any circumstances. I hope there's not an agency that has that policy. But I know that there are officers that are so committed to what they do that they want to get the bad guy and they want to enforce the law, and that's an admirable quality. But at the same time, it has to be tempered with discretion and with sometimes seeing the bigger picture. And that's a hard call to make, because if the officer doesn't pursue that vehicle without the tag, and you find out later that there was a co-ed duct taped in the back of the seat, that was a terrible call. If you've got a car that's speeding down the interstate and you break off the chase and they go 3 miles down the road and hit a minivan and kill a family of 6, that was a bad call. And it's not always an either or situation, but think about the officer that made that decision, or that said, "Hey, this car's going too fast. We're not gonna stop it." And then 3 miles later, what are you going to tell the family that loses a loved one when the officer was in a position to maybe take some action to stop it from happening?
And then I've got to imagine on the other side of that hypothetical, there's a world where if you break off that chase, that suspect slows down and that collision with that hypothetical minivan doesn't happen. And
you've got a situation where you're pursuing somebody for shoplifting and they go down the road and in the pursuit, in the pursuit end up hitting a vehicle and killing 3 people. What are you going to tell that family that this stolen purse or this stolen cell phone was worth chasing somebody down the road and killing 3 members of their family? So it's a like everything cops do, it's a tough judgment call.
And as you mentioned, a split-second decision that you have to make. You don't have minutes. It's really seconds deciding whether or not to do this?
Super fast. And Chris Harvey, and we should be mentioning too, in that conversation, he was talking about hypothetical examples throughout all of that. But it's probably informed by his many years of law enforcement experience and his years as a law enforcement policy leader too. You know, he talks about having to make those split-second decisions. In our conversation, he went on to say that is why policy is so important, because when whatever the agency's policy is, that helps inform the officer, the trooper, the sheriff's deputy in that moment. It helps them lean back on the training that they've gotten from this clear policy, and that's why whatever the agency's policy is, it makes a big impact on what happens on the streets, on the roads across our state.
Yeah, major. Zach, thank you so much for this. We appreciate it. Thanks so much for these informative investigations on 11 Alive News Investigates. We know you will continue to do that.
Y'all ain't gonna change nothing. Nobody's in trouble for real. That lawsuit, hopefully the Georgia State Patrol will be penalized because that young man didn't have to die. I thought maybe he was in a stolen car or had just left for robbery, robbed the bank or unalived somebody, but just to be speeding. In retrospect, stay your ass out of prison and stay out of trouble. And this is what I do. I always assume I'm gonna be pulled over, so I don't get in the vehicle with nothing. I'm able to explain. I've been pulled over before. I've been in a high-speed chase. Have I been in a high-speed chase? Nope, I ain't never been in no high-speed chase because I'm scared. Even when I was doing some nonsense, bro. I know a high-speed chase could end drastically. I'm petrified of them. You have to excuse me, bro. I'll be at home by myself, and I'll be hearing noises and stuff. But, yeah, man, it's a slippery slope because now what he said at the end was if, let's say you do let this person go and then they go on to commit more heinous crimes. So with that, me being a human, I have to take that into consideration as well. Man, y'all let me know what y'all think, man. Get in the comment section, bro. Should there be a policy? Should they chase people who are not in the midst of a felony or a violent crime? Let me know what you think, man.